Come on and take time out and pull up a smile. Listen to something you can enjoy. Sit back and do something nice for yourself. Sharing the feeling with somebody else. Time out for a while. You got to take time out, get into the action. While you're relaxing at home, sit back and do something nice for yourself. Sharing the feeling with somebody else. Time out for the NBA Game of the Week.
Tonight from the Chicago Stadium in Chicago, Illinois, ABC Sports brings you the 23rd annual NBA All-Star Game. Tonight, the East All-Stars, with such names as Walt Frazier, John Havlicek, and Pete Maravich, meet the best from the West with stars like Nate Archibald, Will Chamberlain, and Spencer Haywood. This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealers. See all the better ideas for 73 at your Ford dealers. By Goodyear, makers of the new custom Steel Guard radial tire. And by the newest twin-blade shaving system, the Schick Super 2. It puts both edges on your side. This is Chicago Stadium, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chris Schenkel, welcoming you to our special exclusive telecast, which at 10 Eastern Time tonight will be interrupted by a very important address by President Richard Nixon. Tonight, a record crowd for an NBA All-Star Game, 19,500, in a very historic sports palace. Political conventions have been held here, famous fights, and we expect the similar type of competition of the 28 superstars of the NBA. There are two not playing tonight. Milwaukee's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar requested not to play. The permission was granted. Bob Love of the Chicago Bulls will be in his place on the 14-man roster. And because of Kareem Jabbar, possibly the tragic deaths in Washington, D.C. the past week. And Rick Barry, in our telecast on Sunday, Milwaukee Bucks Golden State, sprained an ankle, will not play tonight. But for your Golden State fans, it appears that later this week, he will be back in action. And Kareem Jabbar will not be competing in our NBA one-on-one championship events, which we'll tell you more about a little bit later. You always enjoy the comments of a man that played in 12 NBA All-Star games, and in 1963 he was the most valuable player. Here he is, Bill Russell.
You know, All-Star games are very interesting. It's hard to analyze them, but you can sit back and enjoy them. There's not much strategy. It's go out and shoot the ball up. The things that will make it interesting, if the guards give the ball up, then it can be a very interesting game. Most of the guys are rather blasé about an All-Star game until it starts, and it doesn't take very much of a spark. A wrong word by one guy on the other team will get everybody started, and you can have quite a ball game like we had last year in Los Angeles. So I think that a couple of sparks have flown around this today and yesterday, so we probably will have an interesting game.
And of course, Bill, of interest to you and all of us is the fact that two former Celtics are the coaches.
Oh, yes, this All-Star game, as many others, is being dominated by the Celtics. We got 3 players and 2 coaches, so that's not bad.
Bill Russell, our third colleague here, and he does a great job. We look forward to his sideline commentary throughout the game. Let's go and meet Dave Dials now.
Chris, thank you very much. Bill, as always, very modest about the Boston Celtics. There are 3 Celtics here on the bench tonight. We'll be at both benches during the course of the game to report on what's happening there. Hopefully we won't have any injuries. But during the course of the game, we will be at the benches talking with officials and coaches and some of the players. Chris, now back to you and Bill.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's meet first the East NBA All-Stars at forward number 34 of the Philadelphia 76ers' first All-Star game, John Block. Also at forward number 25, the New York Knicks, his first year in this game, Bill Bradley. Another forward, number 24 of the Houston Rockets, second year in the game, Jack Marin. Center number 44, Buffalo Braves, third All-Star game, Bob Kaufman. Guard for the East, number 12 of the Boston Celtics, third All-Star game, JoJo White. Another center, number 41 from the Baltimore Bullets, fourth All-Star game, Wes Unseld. Guard number 23 of the Atlanta Hawks, 5th All-Star game, Lou Hudson. Forward number 11 of the Baltimore Bullets, 6th All-Star game, Elvin Hayes. Guard number 19 of the Cleveland Cavaliers, 9th All-Star game, Lenny Wilkins. And now the starting lineup for the East at forward number 22 of the New York Knickerbockers, 7th All-Star game, Dave DeBusschere. In the other corner, number 17, Boston Celtics, 8th Classic, John Havlicek. The center for the East, number 18, Boston Celtics, 2nd Classic, Dave Cowens. At guard, number 10 of the New York Knickerbockers, 4th year, Walt Frazier. Also at guard, number 45 of the Atlanta Hawks, 1st All-Star game, Pete Maravich. And the coach of the East of the Boston Celtics, Tom Heinsohn. And now the NBA All-Stars of the West. Here are the NBA All-Stars of the West. First, the forward number 11 of the Milwaukee Bucks, 1st All-Star game, Bob Dandridge. Another forward, number 34, the Phoenix Suns, Charlie Scott. At center, number 16, Detroit Pistons, 2nd game, Bob Lanier. At forward, number 9, Chicago Bills, 3rd All-Star game, Bob Love. Guard number 21 of the Detroit Pistons, 4th game, Dave Bing. At forward number 26, Los Angeles Lakers, 3rd game, Gail Goodrich. At forward tonight, wearing number 41 of the Phoenix Suns, 4th All-Star game, Connie Hawkins. At guard number 25 of the Chicago Bulls, 6th All-Star game, Chet Walker. Center, number 42, Golden State Warriors, 6th game, Nate Thurman. Now the starting lineups for the West. At forward number 22, the Portland Trail Blazers, 2nd All-Star game, Sidney Wicks. Forward number 23, Seattle Supersonics, 2nd Classic game, Spencer Haywood. The center, number 13, Los Angeles Lakers, 13th game, Wilt Chamberlain. At guard, number 10, Kansas City, Omaha, 1st game, Nate Archibald. At guard, number 44, Los Angeles Lakers, 13th game, Jerry West. And the coach of the West of the Los Angeles Lakers, Bill Sharman. We'll return for the action here at Chicago Stadium in just a moment.
The new 73 Ford LTD. Can an LTD be as quiet as a glider? Nobody has to convince you how quiet a glider is. Airborne with no engine at all. Can an LTD be as quiet as a glider? To find out, we put a sound level meter in a new LTD to measure its quiet. Quiet is the sound of a well-made car. We also put a meter in the glider and let General Radio Company, real sticklers for accuracy, monitor. Let's test the noise level in the glider first, 82 decibels. Now the Ford LTD. Look at that meter at 60 miles per hour, only 65 decibels. Believe it or not, this Ford LTD is quieter than the glider. Quiet is the sound of a well-made car. The new 73 Ford LTD. See it at your Ford dealers now.
Back again at Chicago Stadium, our live color telecast as you look at Richie Powers, a 16-year veteran in the NBA, his third All-Star game. He's from Greenwich, Connecticut, and on the far side, over by the Bull sign, is Jake O'Donnell of Clifton Heights, Pennsylvania, 6 years in the NBA. And here's the man that could not start, an All-Star in the truest sense, Rick Barry of the Golden State Warriors. So he's watching his Western All-Star teammates go now with Wilt Chamberlain on the left at center, and on the right of the Boston Celtics, the East All-Stars in the red uniforms, Dave Cowens. The ball is controlled by the two Celtics. Cowens to John Havlicek. Number 10 in red, that is Walt Frazier of the New York Knickerbockers. Here's Dave DeBuscher, his Knickerbocker teammate. On an outside weave, Havlicek sets and rebound comes off to Dave Cowens. Cowens, number 18, good!
Oh, he knows what to do with it. You know, Dave Cowens has had the last 2 years have been absolutely great. He's been, it was good his first year, but they were discussing whether they should play him at forward or guard, and he didn't play with the confidence he needed to play with. And now that he's got a job, he's playing just great ball.
There's the leading scorer in the NBA, Nate Archibald, at 6'1", number 10, that gets the first basket for the West. Walt Frazier working on Nate, and Frazier comes up with his first field goal of the game. And tonight, we're going to have the battle of the guards. We have some just super players at those positions. Here's one of them, Nate Archibald, number 10. Sidney Wicks, number 22, the starter and forward, giving back to Archibald. Richie Powers, out of bounds.
You know, he should be worried he might get stepped on out there so little.
Spencer Haywood. Nice soft shot. Pete Maravich rebounds. The Atlanta Hawks. Well, the pass not brought in by Walt Frazier of the Knickerbockers. Right now, the East is in the lead 4-2 with 10:54 to go in the first quarter. Wilt Chamberlain, much taller at 7'1", getting the ball. Bad pass. Intended for Wicks as Frazier gets it. DeBuscher back to Frazier. 6-2. Frazier has 4 points.
He sure makes it look easy.
Cross-court bounce pass to Jerry West, his 13th All-Star game, guarded by Maravich, who's in his first. Wilt Chamberlain, number 13 in white. The West All-Stars wearing the white with the red and blue trim. And Nate Archibald is 2 for 2. 4 points. Hot. He's the man that could end up with the year leading both assists and scoring, which would be the first in the NBA. And for a 6'1" player and a relatively newcomer to professional basketball, that would be something.
You know, Chris, they always start these All-Star games. The guys are a little hesitant about shooting. They kind of overpass, and they play it kind of slow the first few minutes, feeling out, and then they start to get into the feel of competition. They start to go to their strengths. As it is now, they're still feeling each other out, and actually they're overpassing generally, because no one wants to be, go out there taking the first shots or overshooting.
Good point, Bill, as you look at the man you had the pleasure of coaching and playing with, one of the great competitors, John Havlicek, who missed the first foul. He was fouled by Sidney Wicks, the initial infraction of the game, as Wilt Chamberlain clears the board. That's unusual for John to miss 2 in a row. All right, Nate Archibald guarded by Walt Frazier, each with 2 field goals, as Sidney Wicks at the top of the key. High arch shot. Wicks gets a rebound. Ooh, a bank shot. Perfection. We have a tie ball game with 9:54 to go. You know, this Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports, you'll see the George Foreman-Joe Frazier World Heavyweight Championship fight that took place in Kingston, Jamaica last night. And George Foreman, almost as big as Bill Russell. Boy, what a job he did on Joe Frazier. And you can see it all on Wide World of Sports this Saturday, 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central, 5:30 Pacific time. Foul was called on Walt Frazier, number 10. First 4 being inbounded, unless, of course, a shooting foul, one of the new rules in the NBA. Sidney Wicks trying to get his second field goal. The basket count. And John Havlicek, the East All-Stars, commits the foul. There's John.
You know, I see Sidney Wicks taking his shots. I can't help but remember back the first All-Star game I saw when I was a rookie with Boston. Tom Heinsohn, who's now coaching for the East, that was his first All-Star game, and in that game he went, we always kid him that he went 18 for 21. He got the ball 21 times, he shot at 18.
Tom Heinsohn, the East coach who played in 6 All-Star games. He retired in 1965. He's been with the Celtics 4 years and bringing them right back. as Wicks was good at the foul line. He has 5 points now. 1 rebound as Walt Frazier is covered by Jerry West. High corner position now held by Havlicek. To Busher on the outside, and then down into the corner to Frazier, guarded by West. Rebound off to Will Chamberlain. Chamberlain looking for that outlet. Sees West. West long to Spencer Haywood, number 23. It was that great star of the 1968 Olympic team. It was victorious in Mexico City. Jerry West. Back to Nate Archibald. Is he 3 for 3? Yeah! Averaging 33.5 points on the season. He is 3 for 3 from the field. Dave DeBuscher driving on Spencer Haywood to John Havlicek, guarded by Wicks, to Maravich. Maravich couldn't get it off, and stolen beautifully by Spencer Haywood. Set the lineups for you again if you just joined us. Archibald, number 10 of the West. 22 is Sidney Wicks. Beautiful spinning shot. 13 Chamberlain, 10 Archibald, 44 West. And the East calls for a timeout as the West has gone out to a 13-6 lead after trailing. We'll be back.
What do you want to know about money? If your money in a savings and loan is insured up to $20,000 by an agency of the U.S. government, how can you have more than $20,000 in the same savings and loan and still have it insured? The answer, multiple accounts. One in your name, one with your spouse, one with each child. With multiple accounts, this family's savings can be insured up to $100,000. Your savings and loan wants you to know how money works.
Winchester's here. A little cigar that's a whole nother smoke.
New kind of smoke that's something else.
Winchester Little Cigars. New golden taste. New filtered smoothness. Mild and light.
Winchester's you. Winchester's something else.
This will give you a better idea how mobile and what an excellent shot Sidney Wicks is, Bill.
He shoots the ball. He releases at the top of his jump. He gets way up to his own balance. He lets go and follows through perfectly. That's a tough shot to stop.
Right. And Sidney made the All-Star team last year for the West in his rookie year after 2 great championship years at UCLA. 6'9", 220, averaging 24 points thus far this season. So the West has scored the last 11 points after trailing 6-2. They're on top 13-6. The East in red, Havlicek 17, 22 to Busher. And Richie Powers spots a foul, and DeBuscher in the act of shooting. And right now, let's go to David Dials.
Chris, thank you very much. I won't ask this man to stand. He can hardly walk at all. Rick Berry, who's not playing in the game. Everybody wants to know, Rick, what about the ankle? When will you get back into action?
Well, Dave, I'm hopeful if it keeps to get better the way it has over the last 24 hours that I'll be able to play this weekend in our big series against the Lakers.
It must have been a big change. Last night you were on crutches. Today you're walking around.
Yes, I feel much better, but I really do miss having an opportunity to play in a great game like this.
I know you do. Rick Berry, a quick healer. Now back to you, Chris.
All right, thank you, Dave. And Rick, well, we got one. They're 1 of 4 from the foul line.
No, I didn't hear that.
Healer.
He didn't say that.
All right, Will Chamberlain, surprise. But when you're that big,
I think you wanted to make that one.
either that or a new backboard. Oh, boy. 15-7, 7:55 to go first quarter. The West won the last 2 years as Dave Cowens of the East. Beautiful shot. Now it's 15-9. 4 points for Cowens of the Boston Celtics. This is Archibald of the Kansas City Omaha team, coached by Bob Cousy. Picked up double teamed by Cowens and Frazier for a while. West through the lane to his Laker teammate Chamberlain. Wicks coming around. There he's up in the air. Goes the ball. Sidney Wicks of Portland, 9 points, 9 of the 17.
You know, John Havlicek's guarding him, and John is just 4 inches shorter than him, so that makes it really tough. And Sidney is too quickly in the guys his size, so that gives him a real tough guy to try to guard.
Okay, Bill Russell. Now we have Lou Hudson, number 23, coming in along with Lenny Wilkins. Here's the last stuffer by Will Chamberlain.
One bounce. One step.
Spencer Haywood just made one from about 22 feet as Maravich of the East drives, passes off to Hudson, who just came into the ball game of the Atlanta Hawks, number 23. We'll set up the lineup for you. The West All-Stars are as they were. Right now, the guards are Lenny Wilkens, 19, and Maravich. Hudson is a forward, number 23, along with DeBuscher. Under the basket, a steal by Hudson of Atlanta to DeBuscher of New York, to Maravich of Atlanta. Beautiful pass to Cowens of Boston. Wow. 19-13. Cowens now with 6 points. Tom Heinsohn getting ready to send in Elvin Hayes and Wes Unseld of Baltimore. Meanwhile, Nate Archibald, number 10, guarded by Lenny Wilkens. Ooh, what a pick set by Chamberlain. Cowens steals it away to Maravich. Maravich to Wilkens.
He's one of the best penetrating guards in the history of basketball. He goes in there, no matter who's in there, how big you are, and he gives you so much motion that it's hard to defend because he gives you 3 good fakes every time almost when he goes in there.
Well, the West is drawn closer, and they get the rebound. It's DeBuscher and Cowens, but a pass is stolen by Sidney Wicks to Nate Archibald. 6-1, Maravich. A little bit too aggressive. He got by with 1 foul and then came back to do a second one. Let's see the last basket by Cowens, Dave Cowens.
That was a great pass, that bounce pass, just out of Sidney Wicks' reach. I was at Spencer Haywood. That was Wicks.
So with 5 minutes and 51 seconds remaining in the first quarter, the West now leads by only 4, 19-15.
The 25-cent heartburn. The free upset stomach. The 927 indigestion.
The priceless stomach acid quencher. Rolaids, the medicine in a roll that consumes 47 times its weight in excess stomach acid. We don't care how the excess stomach acid got there. We care about quenching it.
Is tomorrow the morning you break an old habit? When you stop to think, what good are 2 edges if you can only shave with 1 at a time? Schick puts both edges on your side. The Schick Super 2. 2 super chromium edges working together for a close, comfortable shave. The Schick Super 2. It's enough to make you break an old habit.
Here on the West bench with Coach Bill Sharman, I noticed last time out you didn't say a word to them. This time only a couple of words.
They were going so good, Dave. I better not say anything. They're shooting phenomenal. I just hope we can keep it up. But they're trying to run, so we're going to have to get back. We're going to contain them.
Okay, Coach Bill Sharman of the West.
As the West goes for 3 straight wins here in the NBA All-Star Game. In the first quarter, 5 minutes, 51 seconds remaining. The West is leading 19-15. Maravich fouled this tiny guy. Number 10, Nate Archibald. He's 3 for 3 from the field. 3 assists, now 7 points. First one from the foul line. Here's a boy that moved from 17th in the scoring position to 2nd and now leads it. He was, of course, very upset last year that he was not accepted an All-Star, and he moved that far. It shows you what, if you put your mind to something, you can do it. Bill Russell used to play that way, especially defense. Boy, he was tough. Don't forget, at 10 Eastern time, we will cut away from Chicago Stadium for the 15-minute address by President Richard Nixon. It's Nate Archibald. Ooh! To West Archibald. That's the first one he's missed. Elvin Hayes, great All-American from the University of Houston, gives to Lou Hudson, the All-American from Minnesota, number 23. This is Wes Unseld from the University of Louisville. He gets it back, then loses it, but Maravich has it. Into the corner to Hudson, his Atlanta teammate. Off it comes. Wicks has it, number 22 to Archibald 10, a left-hander. Almost took the wind right out of Spencer Haywood. Unseld on the rebound. The outlet pass is a lead one to Maravich. Maravich bouncing to Hudson. Beautiful assist work. Beautiful block by Wicks. And here on the West, really can't believe it.
I think he's going to do it all tonight.
Here it is again.
Well, that's the way it's done. If I tried that, it would be up in the balcony.
Unbelievable. Wes Unseld of the East to Elvin Hayes of the East. Rebound, Chamberlain. knocking it out of bounds, so the East will have control. Now, the Chicago Bulls, Chet Walker, number 25, replaces Spencer Haywood. Charlie Scott, also a member of the 1968 Olympic team, from North Carolina, is in the lineup, playing with the Phoenix Suns, number 34 in white. JoJo White of the Boston Celtics is in for the East, number 12, unsold. And out of bounds it goes. If you just joined us, the starting lineups have now been changed. For the East in red, Lou Hudson, 23, 19 Wilkins, 41 unsold, 12 JoJo White. And here's Elvin Hayes, number 11. Chet Walker of the Bulls, and this is the home court of the Bulls as they're hosting this 23rd annual All-Star Game. And it's amazing that with 4 NBA teams here in Chicago, this is the very first All-Star Game to be played here since it was initiated in 1951 and played in Boston.
Well, most of the teams that played in Chicago didn't last very long. The franchise didn't stay here long enough in order to get the All-Star Game.
Fine facility. It's been here since 1927. As we look at Chet Walker, now number 10, Nate Archibald. Only he and Chamberlain remain as the starting lineup. Bill Sharman has sent in substitutes galore, and Tom Heinsohn is doing the same for the East in the red. Lenny Wilkins of Cleveland, number 19. Like Bill, a former coach in the NBA. Chamberlain missed blocking that one.
He got a hand on it, because Lenny would have made it if he didn't.
All right, Wicks. Shot rebounded by the Big E, Elvin Hayes, to Wilkins. Left-hand pass to Hudson. Right over Wilt Chamberlain.
Well, he's challenging.
Now the East is within 2, 21-19.
That's what the guys have to do in any type of game. They have to go inside and challenge the big guys. Because once you start to go inside, you open the game wide open.
You just joined us after trailing 6-2. The West scored 11 straight points to take the lead. But now the East has come back.
You know, he's called Archibald tiny, but you know, he's no bigger than, or no smaller than Lenny Wilkins.
Right. They're both 6'1", and here's another 6-footer, David Dial.
I'm with John Havlicek, many times an All-Star. John, what do you have to change in an All-Star game? There's so many great players out there.
Well, I think the only thing you can do is run with movement and try to free each other. As far as basic plays, there aren't any. It's just a matter of relying on each other's abilities to get yourself free.
Okay, John Havlicek of the Boston Celtics.
Once a super sub, now a superstar. John Havlicek.
Always a superstar. Maybe a super sub, but always a superstar.
Well, that's right. What a gentleman. He must have been a pleasure to coach.
Yes, he was. He's a fantastic guy. He's one of the few guys that played any sport, I think, that you have to slow down. He was so good and he hustled so hard that sometimes you had to slow him down so the rest of us could catch up with him.
Sidney Wicks now has 11 points. You just saw him at the foul line as Lou Hudson is guarded by a much shorter Nate Archibald. There's Nate trying to keep up with him. Rebound. Unsold battling for it. Oh, ping pong. And Sidney Wicks, a lead pass to Archibald. Not a good one, but it was
the only
hurried.
pass he could have gotten through then was a bounce pass. If he tried a bounce pass, he had a chance of getting it through.
2 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in the first quarter, and the NBA All-Star Game as the West is leading the East 23-19.
The most important reason for buying life insurance is to keep things from coming to a stop for your family, if someday you're not there. And the best reason to think of State Farm for life insurance is that your State Farm agent is there when you need him to keep things going for the people you love.
Just like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. One glass of wine, White Lancer's wine.
Lancer's imported Vinho Branco is crisp and cool, light and white, but never timid or shy. Vinho Branco means white wine. Who knows what it will mean to you?
This Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports, you'll see the Joe Frazier, George Foreman World Heavyweight Championship fight from Kingston, Jamaica. Also, the International Professional Skiing Championship from Mount Snow, Vermont, featuring Jean-Claude Keeley. Please be sure to note our special time this Saturday, 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central, 5:30 Pacific time on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Also, on Saturday and Sunday this week, a quick reminder, the Bing Crosby third and fourth round live color telecast from Pebble Beach, California, here on ABC. 28 superstars of the NBA here tonight as we have 2:44 remaining in the first quarter. The East is trailing. They have the ball in red if you're watching in color. 23-19. This is Lou Hudson of Atlanta. And Nate Archibald steals it. There he goes. JoJo White just lets him have one. 25-19. And a quick pass intended for Wilkins was broken up by Wicks. Boy, he's fast for a big man. Quick. And he's going to inbound the ball for the West out to Archibald.
Now, the reason I say quick is not that he's not fast, but the difference between quickness and fast is his movements are quick. And when I talk about fast, I'm talking about speed up and down court. He has a very quick move. That's why he's able to get away around the basket for his shots. That's why the big guys can't stay with him.
And he's 6'9", plenty of beef at 220 pounds, Sidney Wicks. Now we have a foul called on Chet Walker of the Chicago Bulls, and going to the line will be Lou Hudson of Atlanta.
Super Lou. Young and free.
Who can play forward or guard with the best of them. Number 23. Season's average 24.7. He has 6 points tonight.
Lou says he should be a movie star. He says he's too pretty to be playing basketball.
Well, okay. Coming up to the 2-minute mark, 25-21. The West is in the lead. Nate the Skate Archibald to a guy that's a foot taller, Chamberlain, to Wicks. The West not moving quite as much, only Scott and Archibald. Now Wicks goes in. Penetrating forward, charging, no basket.
And that was a great defensive play by Elvin Hayes.
That's number 2.
That's his second foul. In the background, you hear a long-time announcer here at Chicago Stadium, Ben Bentley. And now we have Bob Kaufman coming in, and Jack Marin of Duke, and of the Houston Rockets, number 24, Bob Kaufman of the Buffalo Braves, wears number 44 in his red uniform. So all 14, it appears, are going to see action tonight. Kaufman, 44, setting a pick for JoJo White.
Elvin Hayes was traded for, and Lenny Wilkins, the big fellow says, don't come in here, little guy, with that stuff.
Well, as he's done so often, Chamberlain blocking that shot. East has it. Kaufman from the corner. Beautiful. He's got the touch right away.
You know, Elvin Hayes and Jack Marin were traded from one team, were traded for each other, and both on the All-Star game, in the All-Star game, which is kind of unusual. Some guys usually don't have that good a year after they've been traded.
All right, inbounding the pass is Wilkins. Wilkins to JoJo White of Boston. Baltimore's Unseld. Beautiful shot. And now, it's a tie ball game at 25. Coming up to the 1-minute mark of the first quarter, the West All-Stars in white with the red and blue trim. Archibald making that big move, but from behind, veteran Wilkins fouls him up. White gets the ball. Bob Kaufman couldn't get to it.
And this is how it's supposed to be done. Just like that. Get the ball while it's still going up and knock it in the stands and tell the little guys to stay out of there.
Thus far, the West is 8 turnovers and the East 8. Ooh, a long, dangerous pass.
The most dangerous pass in basketball, cross court.
And with the left hand. Jack Marin of the Houston Rockets finding the range, and he can be tough. And he puts the East ahead for the first time since they were leading 6-2. But then, if you just joined us, the West scored the next 11. In about 25 minutes, we'll be going to the nation's capital for an address by President Richard Nixon, and, of course, to return to this NBA All-Star game from Chicago.
So, see, the little guys go in there, they give you that motion, but the good guys like Wesley Unseld, the big guys, they know how to handle the little guys coming in there. You know, Wesley Unseld was the most valuable player in the league his first year in the league as a rookie, which is most unusual. There were only about 50 guys.
Chad Walker of the Bulls. Great cheering for the hometown team here at Chicago Stadium. And with that shot, Chet Walker has tied up the ball game at 27-all. Will Chamberlain going to the bench as we'll take a pause for this message.
Introducing the new Goodyear Custom Steel Guard Radial, the 40,000-mile tire with 5 guards to help protect you 5 ways. Guard 1, against rough ride. A shock-absorbing polyester cord body. Guard 2, against penetration under the tread, 2 strong steel belts. Guard 3, against wet skids. A computer-designed tread channels the water from under the tread. Guard 4, against loss of road contact on curves. 2 special outer grooves allow the tread and the sidewall to work independently for firm tread contact. Guard 5, against sluggish handling. Special stabilizers stiffen the sidewall and help allow recovery on sudden turns. Drive the new Goodyear Steel Guard Radial and get the 5 guard feeling of confidence. Only from Goodyear.
Hi, I'm Red Auerbach. If I had a wish for every young boy who enjoys basketball, it would be that he stand right here in basketball's Hall of Fame. The entire history of basketball is here, from the game's inception in 1891 right up to the present. The Hall of Fame is a living memorial to basketball greats of the past, the present, and inspiration to those of the future. Visit the Hall of Fame in Springfield, Mass.
In the series which began in 1951, the East is in the lead, as you can see, but the West has won the last 2, including the thriller a year ago, 112 to 110. Let's go to 2 tiny guys. First, David Dial.
Okay, we're here with Nate Archibald, and Nate, certainly one of the most exciting players in the NBA. You found it pretty easy out there for a while.
Not that easy. We started off fast, and I like to run, and that's our game. That's my game, and I just hope it keeps up because they be playing right into my hands.
Okay, Nate Archibald.
All right, we go into the second quarter now. It's Nate Thurman. On the left, number 42 is in at center for the West. Dave Cowens, number 18, is back in. Here's Charlie Scott, number 34 of the West. And the West loses the ball to the East. And if you just joined us, the East All-Stars in the red. Havlicek, 17 of Boston. Maravich, 45 of Atlanta. 24, Jack Marin of Houston. Stolen. Bad pass. Charlie Scott, though. Quickness and ability. Ooh, missed an easy one. Bob Dandridge of the Milwaukee Bucks is in the West lineup, number 11, along with number 26, Gail Goodrich of the Los Angeles Lakers. Maravich of the East, guarded by Gail Goodrich. Jack Marin gets away from Dandridge. Gets help from John Havlicek, 17 of Boston. 44, Bob Kaufman of Buffalo. Maravich. Havlicek. McCallum to Kaufman. Ooh, foul.
You may shoot the free throws, but you may not shoot layups.
So going to the foul line will be Bob Kaufman, number 44 of Guilford College.
Chris, they always
Small,
say if
but-
you're going to shoot layups, send in your blood type first.
Here he is.
You know, he was traded a couple of times, and they tried to play him at center and forward, and he found himself at Buffalo. You know, he had been to 2 or 3 teams and had been able to play, and he just found himself at Buffalo. He's been just outstanding since he went to Buffalo.
So Bob Kaufman, 1 of 2 from the foul line. This is his 3rd All-Star game. He tried to guard Chet Walker, number 25. Dandridge gets the pass back to Walker. Walker, and Dave Cowens was sort of riding.
Well, just a little bit.
So it's the Charlie Scott down to our right. In white, number 34, and to Goodrich, number 26. To Nate Thurman, 42, and Cowens steals it away, but was on that inline. Jake O'Donnell, the NBA official, saw it. Richie Powers bounces it down, and it'll be Goodrich inbounding it with Thurman, Scott, Walker, and Bob Dandridge waiting for the pass. Comes out to Thurman from Bowling Green, Dandridge of Norfolk State, Charlie Scott of North Carolina. Rebound by Cowens to Marin. 2 left-handers, and then Maravich. So the East will remain in control with 10:40 to go in the first half. 29-28. The West is in the lead. Bob Kaufman, number 44, in quickly to Havlicek. Kaufman trying on the rebound. Cowens up. Chet Walker gets it. To Gail Goodrich of the West, number 26, to Bob Dandridge of the Milwaukee Bucks. Charlie Scott. Phoenix stolen by Maravich of Atlanta. Maravich 45. The West, Chet Walker, the Bulls. Kaufman on the rebound. Quick outlet pass to Havlicek, 1-on-2. Gets help from Cowan. Ooh.
And furthermore, on top of that, that's Dave's game. Is get a rebound and break out there running, because he really goes out all out, and he's pretty fast for a big guy. And that's his game, is to run and hustle.
One of my favorite centers, Nate Thurman, just made that bucket.
All the way jump shot.
Sir, 6'11", Golden State Warriors. Just deflecting the ball, and Chet Walker gets it. His West teammate. No. And little elbowing on the part of Walker.
This is that good teamwork, the timing of guys playing together. And you notice he shot this right-handed. And Dave was a left-hander.
All right, now we have substitutions for the East. Number 34, John Block of the Philadelphia 76ers. And in his first All-Star game, 25 tonight, Bill Bradley of the Knickerbockers. Under the basket, John Block getting a pass from Havlicek. This Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports, a spectacular event. The event that took place in Kingston, Jamaica last night, George Foreman becoming the world heavyweight champion in dethroning Joe Frazier. You'll see it on Wide World this Saturday, ABC. Charlie Scott to Nate Thurman, up and in.
John Block must be having a real mixed emotion type year. He's been playing very good basketball, and they can't beat anybody. They've the 76ers have lost they're at a record pace for losing, and he's on the All-Star team, so it must be real tough, to go out there and play every night with the knowledge that you're going to lose most of the time.
That's right, John, averaging 17 points for the 76ers, has been with several teams. And in the All-Star game tonight, as we look at the back of Rick Barry, who couldn't play because of an injury. 33-30.
What a cigar.
You owe yourself a big O. Get to know the big O. Omega 100s, Omega 100s.
Omega 100s. Natural, menthol, cherry. America's most enjoyable little cigar. Filter tipped.
Tobacco satisfaction with no inhaling action. Omega 100s, Omega 100s. Get to know the big O.
Get to know the big O.
What do you want to know about money? How does compound interest work? Suppose you deposit $50 in a savings and loan and add $50 every month for 15 years. At current interest rates, you could then withdraw $50 a month, every month for the rest of your life, your children's lives, your grandchildren's, forever and ever, and never touch the money you deposited. Your savings and loan wants you to know how money works.
Professional Bowlers Tour continues this Saturday with the $50,000 Denver Open from the Colorado Bowl in Denver, Colorado. Don't miss this exciting contest, the fourth in this 13-event tour. Pro Bowlers Tour, Denver Open this Saturday, 3 Eastern, 2 Central, 4 Pacific time on ABC. That is Marvin Cooper, or Dancing Harry, who started this all in Baltimore. Now his base seems to be Madison Square Garden in New York City. Tonight, though, Chicago Stadium in Illinois. And the crowd enjoys Dancing Harry. Here's Dave Dials.
Chris, thank you. We're moving down here toward Tom Heinsohn, the coach of the Boston Celtics and the coach of the East team. Tom, what did you tell your players during a timeout?
Well, we're going to try and keep the middle open and have like a 5-man weave. I think Thurman will stay with Cowens, and we've got some good ball handlers in there, and Bradley at the forward spot, Havlicek and Maravich. We hope to take advantage of the open middle.
Okay, Tom Heinsohn.
Okay, and Tom's Celtic player, John Havlicek, got his first 2 points, 2 for 2 at the foul line. John averaging 24 in the season, 16 as an All-Star, and this is his 8th appearance. Here's Maravich. Maravich traveling, so it'll be the West in white. The 12th turnover for the West. The East has 11 now with 8:40 to go. East leading 34-33. Gail Goodrich of the Lakers to Charlie Scott of Phoenix. Back to Goodrich. Nice try. John Block of Philadelphia saved by Cowens of Boston. Bill Bradley of the Knickerbockers. Havlicek. Ooh, first field goal. And Nate Thurman fouled John as he was driving the top of the lane.
You know, I think Pete Maravich is suffering from what most young players suffer from in their first All-Star game. It's called nerves. You know, you want to shoot and you don't want to shoot. You want to try to do what's right, you know, and you want to look pretty good. And then you start thinking out there. And all you do is make mistakes, mistake on top of mistake. And then you really start to press, and then everything goes wrong.
Pete Maravich, number 45, on defense, guarding Gail Goodrich. Dandridge is guarded by Bill Bradley of New York. Goodrich. Rebound by John Havlicek, who seems to be everywhere. Beautiful defensive job by Scott. The pass not quite as good, but Dandridge saves it. Havlicek had it. Back to Dandridge, to Scott, to Walker, and Cowens, Block, and Havlicek.
You may shoot the free throws, but you cannot shoot the layup.
So Chet Walker of the Chicago Bulls, former 76er, played at Bradley University, a native of Chicago. Now Dave Bing comes into the game, and limping off is Charlie Scott. We hope he'll be okay. Greeted by Coach Bill Sharman, along with trainer Dr. Beal of the Bulls, as we go to Dave Dials.
Okay, we're here with Charlie Scott. Charlie, tell me about the ankle.
I don't know yet. I just know it hurts. I went up in the air and I came down. I came down on those crossways. So I turned it a little bit.
Okay, the doctor's checking it now, and we'll get back to you with a later report, Chris.
Charlie Scott, in his first year as an all-star player, plays with Phoenix. And at the line is Chet Walker, who has really seen a few of these games, and it's great that he could be in this one. Seems to improve with age. He has 2 points in the game thus far tonight. And for the West, his other teammates, we have Dave Bing in the lineup now. He's on the far side of the lane, in between John Block and John Havlicek. Gail Goodrich is 26, Bing 21. Dandridge is 11, and Nate Thurman, number 42. Maravich is 45 for the East. Way outside to Bill Bradley, 25 of the Knicks. He likes that spot. 38-35, the East leading. In about 10 minutes, we'll be going to the nation's capital for a speech by President Richard Nixon. Dandridge to Nate Thurman, number 42 of Golden State. John Block of Philadelphia, number 34. To Dave Cowens of Boston. Bill Bradley of New York. In this quarter, we've had 5 lead changes. Maravich trying to hit Block on the move. Deflected, and Thurman has it. To Dave Bing of the Detroit Pistons, number 21. All-American of Syracuse. Thurman back to Bing. Around Bradley. Block deflecting it. Bradley controlling it. To Maravich. Maravich to Havlicek to Block. And Dave Bing blocks the shot. Boy, can he leap. Chet Walker. Dave Cowens, 38-35, East leading, 6:40 to go, first half. Bill Bradley, 25 to Maravich. John Block, 34. Bing has it. Giving one fake to Block and spinning. Watch this pass by Maravich.
Between his legs on the move.
And the West
blocked by Dave Bing.
Dave Bing, who is 6 feet 3 inches tall, was up like a Bill Russell. We'll return in a minute.
Back in 1911, a favorite publicity stunt for the Ford Model T was to drive it up a set of steps to show off its ruggedness. We've dramatized that bit of history because ruggedness was very much in our minds when we built Ford Pinto. Of course, today we check out our test cars a little differently. We study Pinto on test roads. We punish it on real roads. We drench it in a salt bath. We test Pinto for handling, for stopping on wet roads, for tightness against the weather. Yet, with all that, we just had to take our basic little Pinto and climb the same steps. Not as a test, not to prove anything, except perhaps that we haven't forgotten. When you get back to basics, you get back to Ford. Pinto at your Ford dealers.
Okay, back here on the bench with Charlie Scott. As we're watching Dancing Harry here, I'm with Charlie Scott, and the doctor, the trainer, have attended him, and Charlie, what's the diagnosis?
Well, he said it's just a minor sprain, so hopefully I can play again.
Okay, and he did put some heavy tape on it, and you think you can go back in?
Well, I traveled 1,200 miles to play, and I don't want to come to watch anymore.
Okay, Charlie Scott, now back to you, Chris.
All right, 6:28 to go in the first half. The East leading 38-35. It's a tie ball game at the end of the first quarter, and the starter, Walt Frazier of New York, number 10, is in the lineup. So for the backcourt, the East, number 19, Len Wilkins of Cleveland, and Frazier. While for the forwards, Bill Bradley of New York, John Block of Philadelphia in the center, Dave Cowens. The East with the ball. Here's Block. Frazier over Connie Hawkins, who has just come in the lineup for the first time. Dandridge to Goodrich. Goodrich to Hawkins. Hawkins passing outside to Bing. Bing working on Wilkins. Cowens comes off with the rebound. A loose ball foul. Wilkins committing it. The top rebounder thus far is Dave Cowens of Boston with 7. Top scorer is Wicks with 11. I'd like to correct the man I named for the foul. It was Dave Bing that committed the foul, not Lenny Wilkins. Wilkins will inbound it, though. Bill Bradley.
That's an
offensive foul on Bill Bradley, number 25.
That's number 1.
Wide world of sports. Big event of not only the week, but the month or months will be the championship fight, world heavyweight title that took place in Jamaica last night. George Foreman and Joe Frazier, 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central, 5:30 Pacific time. John Block all alone on Bing. East has the ball. Frazier, bad pass. You seldom see that as Goodrich steals it. Dave Bing loses it to Walt Frazier of New York. Frazier of Southern Illinois, playing here in Chicago Stadium. Around Bing. Oh, was that a good move?
And Dave Cowens did what a lot of great players do, but you shouldn't do, is that when you get there for the layup, never take your eye off the target.
At the opposite end, Dandridge missed on a shot. Frazier with the rebound, number 10 for the East. East leading 38-35. 5 minutes to go as Block rebound. John Block, number 34. Playing with his 4th team in 7 seasons, now with Philadelphia. And let's see. Foul called.
Connie Hawkins.
Number 22, DeBuscher.
Dave DeBuscher is number 22 in red. So in the lineup, we have the 2 Knickerbocker forwards, Bill Bradley and Dave DeBuscher. Cowens the center. As Bob Love of the Chicago Bulls comes into the lineup, he was named to replace Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who requested not to play. Permission granted, possibly because of the tragic deaths happening last week in Washington, D.C. Here's Len Wilkins, number 19. 10, Frazier. 25, Bradley. 22 to Busher. Bob Lanier, number 16 of the Pistons, is in the lineup for the West, Bill. Jerry West is back. Bob Love, Connie Hawkins, and Dave Bing. That's quite a lineup. In about 5 minutes, we'll be going to Washington, D.C., addressed by President Nixon. We'll return then to Chicago Stadium for the rest of the game. Right now, 4:35 to go. First half, 40-35, East leading. Tom Heinsohn wanted some information from 16-year veteran Richie Powers.
And he gave it to him very politely, as they do in all-star games.
Len Wilkins, 2 points, 1 for 3 from the field. Man that has worn 2 hats in professional basketball. Quite a player.
You mean playing and coaching? Not only do you need 2 hats, you need 2 heads.
You ought to know. Connie Hawkins. Nice move as DeBuscher rebounds for the East to his teammate of the Knicks, Bradley. Another New York Knickerbocker, Walt Frazier, 3 of them in the lineup. The Boston Celtics have 3 All-Stars on the squad of 14. The Knicks have 3. And the Los Angeles Lakers have 3, West, Chamberlain, and Goodrich. Frazier now has 6 points as a result of goaltending. Here he is again, number 10. Clyde. Down in the corner to Wilkins. Intended for Cowens, but Lanier, Bob Lanier of St. Bonaventure, number 16, gets it. And Dave Bing gave him some look because of the pass.
See, you can't hit the ball while it's on the rim. That's what they call goaltending. Or it's over that imaginary cylinder.
Oh, Frazier. 4 quick points by Frazier. 45-35. The East leading by 10 points. 3:38 to go. First half. Score was tied 27-all at the end of the first quarter. Connie Hawkins. Look at the size of those hands holding that ball. Back to Bob Lanier. Great touch. 45-37. The East with the ball. Lenny Wilkins. Guarded by Jerry West, 44 in white. Frazier. Under. Wilkins shot rebounded by DeBuscher. Still DeBuscher. Guarded by Bob Love of the Bulls.
And the East team is really pounding the boards. They're getting 2 and 3 shots.
Bob Love.
And you can't let a team that shoot as good as both these teams get 2 or 3 shots. So you get in trouble.
Connie Hawkins and Lanier has 2 quick field goals. Bob Lanier. Beautiful player to watch.
Fluid mobility.
Pounder. He's averaging 23 points for the Pistons. 2:54 to go, first half. We'll be back in a minute.
Which set has the clearest color?
Mine. Mine.
The simplest tuning?
Mine.
The best solid-state design?
Mine.
Who knows? Claims are confusing. But one fact is clear. When it comes to solid-state color TV, almost twice as many people own RCA as any other brand. Almost twice as many. Like this RCA XL 100. It's America's favorite. Come see why.
Good shot there. Good shot, son. Okay, one more time. Okay, my ball. Come on. Get it.
Allstate Life Insurance says, if you die, young man, we'll help make sure your boy still has a driveway to play in. Allstate Mortgage Insurance. $20,000 worth of 20-year decreasing term. If you're 30, for example, you pay only $7 a month. When it comes to guarding your family, young man, you're in good hands with Allstate.
Going to take leave now, but we'll be videotaping all the action and bring you the highlights, and then we'll be coming back here to bring you a lot more live action. In fact, we're going to stay here one more minute as we have 2:48 to go. In the first half, the East is in the lead, 45-39. The West trying to chip away. Elvin Hayes back in the lineup, as is Lou Hudson, number 23. Connie Hawkins tapped it away, but Frazier steals it. Hawkins again. Frazier. Hudson faking Hawkins. And Bob Love of the Bulls gives it to Dave Bing of the Pistons. Down in the corner to Love. Bob Lanier of Detroit, number 16. DeBuscher on the rebound, along with Connie Hawkins. Hudson taps it to Wilkins. Wilkins, number 19 of the East. Nice delayed hook shot over the drive. Beautiful. 47-39. Coming up to the 2-minute mark of the first half. Clyde just gave our colleague Bill Russell a big smile. Here's Len Wilkins, his East All-Star teammate, as is Dave DeBuscher. Back to Wilkins. 1:59 to go, and a reminder that we'll be back with videotape highlights of the remainder of the first half, and of course lots of live action following this special address. Dave Bing, number 21, to Lanier. Lanier over to Jerry West, number 44. Frazier gets it down. Ladies and gentlemen, President Nixon has requested time on the networks this evening for a report on Vietnam. So now to introduce the President from Washington, D.C., here is Howard K. Smith.
Good evening from Washington. In 1 minute from now, the President will make a brief report to the nation on what the White House has announced is the status of the Vietnam negotiations. A few hours ago, President Thieu of South Vietnam taped a message to his nation to be televised at exactly the same time. And there are reports that a simultaneous announcement will be made in Hanoi to the people of North Vietnam. The prevalent rumor is that a ceasefire will be signed in Paris on Saturday, the ceasefire to begin on Sunday. However, a Canadian official supposed to help police the ceasefire says he has no word about it. Earlier this evening, the president conferred for an hour with Henry Kissinger, just back from the Paris talks, and then he met with his newly appointed cabinet, then with leaders of both parties in Congress. We will now presumably hear what the president had to say to them. We go now to the White House and the President of the United States.
Good evening. I have asked for this radio and television time tonight for the purpose of announcing that we today have concluded an agreement to end the war and bring peace with honor in Vietnam and in Southeast Asia. The following statement is being issued at this moment in Washington and Hanoi. At 12:30 Paris time today, January 23, 1973, the agreement on ending the war and restoring peace in Vietnam was initialed by Dr. Henry Kissinger on behalf of the United States and Special Advisor Lee Duc-Tho on behalf of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam. The agreement will be formally signed by the parties participating in the Paris Conference on Vietnam on January 27, 1973, at the International Conference Center in Paris. The ceasefire will take effect at 2400 Greenwich Mean Time, January 27, 1973. The United States and the Democratic Republic of Vietnam express the hope that this agreement will ensure stable peace in Vietnam and contribute to the preservation of lasting peace in Indochina and Southeast Asia. That concludes the formal statement. Throughout the years of negotiations, we have insisted on peace with honor. In my addresses to the nation from this room of January 25th and May 8th, I set forth the goals that we considered essential for peace with honor. In the settlement that has now been agreed to, all the conditions that I laid down then have been met. A ceasefire, internationally supervised, will begin at 7 p.m. this Saturday, January 27, Washington time. Within 60 days from this Saturday, all Americans held prisoners of war throughout Indochina will be released. There will be the fullest possible accounting for all of those who are missing in action. During the same 60-day period, all American forces will be withdrawn from South Vietnam. The people of South Vietnam have been guaranteed the right to determine their own future without outside interference. By joint agreement, the full text of the agreement and the protocols to carry it out will be issued tomorrow. Throughout these negotiations, we have been in the closest consultation with President Thieu and other representatives of the Republic of Vietnam. This settlement meets the goals and has the full support of President Thieu and the government of the Republic of Vietnam, as well as that of our other allies who are affected. The United States will continue to recognize the government of the Republic of Vietnam as the sole legitimate government of South Vietnam. We shall continue to aid South Vietnam within the terms of the agreement, and we shall support efforts by the people of South Vietnam to settle their problems peacefully among themselves. We must recognize that ending the war is only the first step toward building the peace. All parties must now see to it that this is a peace that lasts and also a peace that heals. And a peace that not only ends the war in Southeast Asia, but contributes to the prospects of peace in the whole world. This will mean that the terms of the agreement must be scrupulously adhered to. We shall do everything the agreement requires of us, and we shall expect the other parties to do everything it requires of them. We shall also expect other interested nations to help ensure that the agreement is carried out and peace is maintained. As this long and very difficult war ends, I would like to address a few special words to each of those who have been parties in the conflict. First, to the people and government of South Vietnam. By your courage, by your sacrifice, you have won the precious right to determine your own future. And you have developed the strength to defend that right. We look forward to working with you in the future, friends in peace, as we have been allies in war. To the leaders of North Vietnam, as we have ended the war through negotiations, let us now build a peace of reconciliation. For our part, we are prepared to make a major effort to help achieve that goal. But just as reciprocity was needed to end the war, so too will it be needed to build and strengthen the peace. To the other major powers that have been involved, even indirectly, now is the time for mutual restraint, so that the peace we have achieved can last. And finally, to all of you who are listening, the American people, your steadfastness in supporting our insistence on peace with honor has made peace with honor possible. I know that you would not have wanted that peace jeopardized. With our secret negotiations at the sensitive stage they were in during this recent period, for me to have discussed publicly our efforts to secure peace would not only have violated our understanding with North Vietnam, it would have seriously harmed and possibly destroyed the chances for peace. Therefore, I know that you now can understand why, during these past several weeks, I have not made any public statements about those efforts. The important thing was not to talk about peace, but to get peace, and to get the right kind of peace. This we have done. Now that we have achieved an honorable agreement, let us be proud that America did not settle for a peace that would have betrayed our allies, that would have abandoned our prisoners of war, or that would have ended the war for us but would have continued the war for the 50 million people of Indochina. Let us be proud of the 2.5 million young Americans who served in Vietnam, who served with honor and distinction in one of the most selfless enterprises in the history of nations. And let us be proud of those who sacrificed, who gave their lives, so that the people of South Vietnam might live in freedom, and so that the world might live in peace. In particular, I would like to say a word to some of the bravest people I have ever met. The wives, the children, the families of our prisoners of war and of the missing in action. When others called on us to settle on any terms, you had the courage to stand for the right kind of peace, so that those who died and those who suffered would not have died and suffered in vain, and so that where this generation knew war, the next generation would know peace. Nothing means more to me at this moment than the fact that your long vigil is coming to an end. Just yesterday, a great American who once occupied this office died. In his life, President Johnson endured the vilification of those who sought to portray him as a man of war. But there was nothing he cared about more deeply than achieving a lasting peace in the world. I remember the last time I talked with him. It was just the day after New Year's. He spoke then of his concern with bringing peace, with making it the right kind of peace. And I was grateful that he once again expressed his support for my efforts to gain such a peace. No one would have welcomed this peace more than he. And I know he would join me in asking for those who died and for those who live. Let us consecrate this moment by resolving together to make the peace we have achieved a peace that will last. Thank you, and good evening.
Back again at Chicago Stadium, the halftime score is, thank you very much, Howard K. Smith of ABC News, and that is great news that we just heard. When we left 47-39, and at halftime now, the East is in the lead by a score of 50-45. And a year ago, Bill, the game you did, they led at halftime too, only to have the West come back and Jerry West becoming the most valuable player with a last-second field goal.
Yeah, these games, they ebb and flow with combinations. See, some combinations work better, and some don't. And you can't tell because all the guys are so good, and you can't tell which combinations work better because they're playing pretty much freelance. When I mean by freelance, some guys setting picks and going without the ball, just doing the fundamental things. And with some guys, the timing is just better, or like sometimes you may have 2 or 3 guys from the same team, so they work very well together. Although you don't get that very much, very often, but that keeps the game ebbing and flowing, so that you can't tell what's going to happen. But it's developing into a pretty good game. We got a couple of little things going there. All these guys are very good and supremely confident, and so you're bound to get a couple of these little ego battles, and that's what makes the All-Star game very interesting.
Right, Bill, and these are the halftime statistics. You see the East has a total of 17 turnovers, the West 19. And incidentally, the West seemed to be favored because of the tremendous height with 7'1" Wilt Chamberlain, a couple of 6'11" players. But the high scorer for the East happens to be Dave Cowens, who is much shorter with 8 points and 7 rebounds. 12 of the 14 men on the East All-Star team have scored for their total of 50 points, while the West has scored a total of 45, with Sidney Wicks 11 points, Archibald 10 with 3 assists, and Bob Lanier with 6 points. We'll be back with more from Chicago after a word from our local stations.
This is ABC.
Back again at Chicago Stadium, I'm Chris Schenkel, along with Bill Russell and Dave Dials. We're at halftime with the East continuing to lead by a score of 50-45. Coming up on ABC February 25th, a special 2-hour telecast called The Superstars. Put that date down, February 25th at 2 p.m. for the special telecast featuring prominent stars in the competitive field like Peter Revson. Here is Gary Player, the 1972 champion. They'll be competing in other sports than their specialties. Jean-Claude Keeley playing ping pong, running track, or as we look at Rod Laver, imagine him going in 7 events, and the great quarterback, number 19, Johnny Unitas. And Joe Frazier, well, he smarts a little bit today, but he'll be competing February 25th for the overall title with $122,000 in prize money. Hockey's great Stan Mikita in the Superstars telecast on Sunday, February 25th at 2 p.m., along with Cincinnati's Johnny Bench. And Jim Stefanich of the Professional Bowling Association will also be competing for $122,000 in prize money. That's Sunday, February 25th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time here on ABC. Now let's go to Dave Dial.
On a basketball night in Chicago, Chris, we're talking with Gale Sayers, a man who's a legend in this town. You've been busy signing autographs, Gale. I know you must miss professional football, but the injury just caught up with you.
Yes, it did. I do very much because it's something that I love to do, and when you can't do it anymore, you hate to miss it, but my legs couldn't go anymore, so I couldn't go anymore.
I know it gives you a good feeling, though, to see the way that the fans still respond to you.
Well, I enjoy Chicago very much, and I hope that I gave them their money's worth, and they still enjoy me.
You sure did that. Gale Sayers, now back to you. Chris and Bill.
The 23rd annual NBA All-Star Game from Chicago Stadium in Chicago, Illinois, is brought to you by Sears Tire and Auto Centers, where you'll find Die-Hard batteries and a complete line of quality tires. By the Savings and Loan Foundation, on behalf of your Savings and Loan Association, they want you to know how money works. And by America's most enjoyable little cigar, Omega 100s. Enjoy the Big O. We're only moments away for the center jump, beginning the second half of the 23rd NBA All-Star Game. Right now, halftime score 50-45, the East in the lead.
The Rally of the Acropolis. Over 2,000 miles of pure punishment. We ran it on passenger car type. The Sears steel-belted radial, with radial design for road-holding traction. 2 steel belts for strength and durability. The same kind of tires that have gone over 70,000 miles on a car like yours. The mileage you get depends on how you drive. The Sears steel-belted radial. Only at Sears.
We're going to start 5 cars with dead batteries with 1 battery.
After the lights have been on 4 hours, let's see which car will start. The one with the 2-year-old Die-Hard.
After 3 hours in freezing cold, the Sears Die-Hard proved once again it has extra power to start your car when most batteries won't. The Die-Hard, sold only at Sears.
With me, the 2 coaches, former teammates. Coach Bill Sharman, what did you tell these All-Stars at halftime?
I told them just try to go out and score more points than they did, Dave, but seriously, our turnovers are really killing us, and that's where we got to improve, I believe.
Okay, Tom Heinsohn, what did you tell your guys?
We got to run and run and run and get the ball off the boards, and this is a big ball club, and everybody's got to block out. I think that's what we're going to key on.
You said you were the Davids, they're the Goliaths, and so far you're ahead.
Well, it's working so far, but the second half is the second half.
Okay, Tom Heinsohn and Bill Sharman, the 2 coaches here at the All-Star Game.
Quick summary of the first half. The West last led 33-32. Then the East outscored the West 18-6 to take its biggest lead of 50-39. But the West made the last 6 points to leave the halftime score 50-45. And this is the way we go right now. And Bill, as we look out on the court, the West All-Stars in the white uniforms. We see Spencer Haywood, number 23. Bob Love will be the other forward. And on the left of your screen, in red, you see number 25, Bill Bradley of the New York Knickerbockers. And more on the right, there's Dave Cowens, 18, 41, Wes Unseld, 10, Walt Frazier, 12, JoJo White. And in the white uniforms, 21, Dave Bing, 26, Gail Goodrich, and 42, jumping center with Cowens, Nate Thurman. Richie Powers tosses it up. It's stolen by the East, Wes Unseld. Unseld to JoJo White of the Boston Celtics. And Walt Frazier of the New York Knickerbockers. They have a 5-point lead on Dave Bing, but knocked away beautifully by Spencer Haywood. Taken by White to Unseld, back to White. Tapped away, and Bing saves it for the West All-Stars, who trail by 5. Opening moments, third quarter. Gail Goodrich in the corner. The Los Angeles Lakers. Off it comes. Frazier has it for the East. Quick pass to Bill Bradley. Tough layup. Spencer Haywood coming off the rebound. 2 in a row for him as Dave Bing of Detroit has it. Into the corner to Bob Love of the Bulls. Over Bradley. Good! Now the West All-Stars within 3. JoJo White of the East to Bill Bradley of New York. Getting away from Love, number 9. Back outside to Frazier. Back to Bradley. Over Haywood. Cowens on the rebound. That's his 8th of the game. White's jump shot. Rebounded by Spencer Haywood. To Bing. To Nate Thurman. Thurman to Bob Love. Beautiful. 2 in a row for
This is what I mean by ebbs and flows. Now, here's a combination that seems to be working. Bob Love is up for this game because he wasn't originally picked, and he was a little upset about that. And so he's maybe trying to prove something, so he's playing a little extra.
Beautiful driving effort by Gail Goodrich of the Lakers. Number 21, Dave Bing, guarded by 10, Walt Frazier. Rather, JoJo, excuse me. Right now we have Bob Love trying for 3 in a row, and he's fouled. In the act of shooting, you'll get to Bill Bradley committing the foul. It's his second personal foul. Don't forget this Saturday on Wide World of Sports at 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central, 5:30 Pacific time. This is a special time for Wide World and a special program. The World Heavyweight Championship fight of last night, Joe Frazier and George Foreman, along with international professional skiing from Mount Snow, Vermont, featuring Jean-Claude Keeley. What a show. Love now with 6 points, 2 from the foul line, and a couple of field goals, and there's a rebound for Bob Love, who played at Southern University. Lost part of a shoe, trying to put it back on, down to our right as Bing has it to Nate Thurman, back to Bing. Bing of Syracuse, just traveled.
Little steps. Little steps. Little steps don't count.
Sometimes you can get by with it, and other times you can't. Now it's Bill Bradley, guarded by Bob Love.
Chris, what we should watch for is to see if the East team is going to do what Coach Heinsohn said he wanted to do. He wanted to pound the boards and run.
With JoJo White to Unseld to Cowens. Basket counts. Thurman fouls Dave Cowens of the Boston Celtics. 54-51 with 9:40 to go. Cowens now with 10 points and 8 rebounds. Don't forget there's a Most Valuable Player award made at the end of the game. As we look at Cowens now.
And Nate tried to get his hand away after he hit him. You know, you always do that when you hit a guy, you pull it back real quick. Maybe he didn't see it.
3-point play by Cowens as we look at Dave Bing, number 21, guarded by Frazier. Knocked away by Spencer Haywood, who did he knock Wes Unseld away? Loose ball foul. Yes. Spencer Haywood and a loose ball foul. That's his second. 9.5 to go, third quarter, 55-51. East leading. Frazier fakes to Bradley, and 25-footer rebounded by Nate Thurman. Thurman looking for the outlet pass, finds Gail Goodrich, guarded by JoJo White. Spencer Haywood.
You know, it's hard to believe a guy that big and that strong, that's such a great rebounding, great defensive player, and has such a soft touch from that far out.
They love him in Seattle. Spencer Haywood. Bill Bradley over to JoJo White of Boston. Gail Goodrich of Los Angeles for the West All-Stars to Dave Bing of Detroit. Way in the corner to Haywood. Haywood to Nate Thurman. Back to Spencer Haywood. Thurman going high, and Dave Cowens really impressing us tonight. He's aggressive, the Florida State star. Only 6'9". And it comes as Gail Goodrich had it knocked away by JoJo White.
He's a little guy. For a center, 6'9", that's not very big.
Gives away a lot of inches,
Well, you figure that Wesley Unseld's also a center, and he's only about 6'7". So they got, and they both are excellent rebounders.
Bill Bradley to Walt Frazier. Nate Thurman on the rebound, 6'11", down to Gail Goodrich. Oh, what a...
Oh, did he put a move on him there? Says, watch this, kid.
Bill Bradley back outside to JoJo White here at the home of the Chicago Bulls, Chicago Stadium. Coming up to the 8-minute mark, third quarter. Score tied again, 55 all.
And JoJo White can't find the basket. He's had his shots, some good shots, and they just won't go for him. And then after you miss about 2 in a row, you start to push.
Fourth tie of the game. Bill Bradley. Oh, he likes that spot. Bill Bradley of the Knickerbockers.
He says it's no longer tied.
57-55. 4 points for Bradley. Cowens on a great steal to JoJo White. 3-on-1 to Frazier. But Gail Goodrich waits. Cowens gets it to White. Still no basket. Nate Thurman backs it away to Dave Bing.
Great defensive play by Nate Thurman, just hustling. That paid off.
Spencer Haywood. Beautiful shot. Haywood. Frazier now, closely guarded by Goodrich. Tied again, 57 all. Bradley to Frazier. Frazier under to Unseld. At 6'7" is fouled by Spencer Haywood.
Charge that to Spencer Haywood.
Third foul on Spencer Haywood, who's in there giving it his all, just as he did in Mexico City, representing all of us in the Olympic Games, as did JoJo White, as did Charlie Scott. In fact, 3 of the players are right here tonight. And on my right is the man that played in the 1956 Olympics and reported on the 72 games, Bill Russell. We'll be back at Chicago Stadium for the NBA All-Star Game after this message.
What do you want to know about money? You have a savings account at a savings and loan in your town, and you're moving to another town. What are you going to do with that money? A, you can leave it in the savings and loan. B, withdraw it and take it with you. But we recommend C, have your savings and loan transferred to another savings and loan where you're moving. It's the safe, convenient way. Ask us your questions. Your savings and loan wants you to know how money works.
You know, you could get a better shave if your razor had a second blade. Why? Well, when you shave, your whisker is actually stretched out from your skin. But after it's cut, it starts to snap back. Now, if you had a second blade right here, you could shave that whisker again before it all snaps back. So with 2 blades, you'd have a better razor. Our razor, the Gillette Track 2. Gillette made it 1 blade better.
Well, there was Will Chamberlain, who started the ball game as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar requested not to play, and there you see Jerry Weston. I wonder why Bill Sharman hasn't played his own Los Angeles Laker, Will Chamberlain, so much tonight.
Well, what happens is that in an all-star game, you don't want to be partial to your own players. And so, although you may think they're better, you try to give everybody a good shake. And so a lot of times you don't really give your own players a good shake because you want to be fair. You want to be fair and win the game.
Okay, Bill. This is Bob Love of the Chicago Bulls with a score tied at 57-all, 6:59 to go, third quarter. Set the lineups for you now. Havlicek, number 17, is back in the red East uniform. Dave Cowens, 18, to Busher, 22. JoJo White, 12, and Frazier, 10. For the West, 21, Bing, 26, Goodrich. Bob Love, 9, 23, Spencer Hayward, guarding DeBuscher now. And the center is Nate Thurman. So another East turnover, and the West has it. That's Bob Love, number 9. Way over to Dave Bing. Charlie Scott of the Phoenix Suns injured his ankle in the first half, so he's being rested on the West All-Stars as Bob Love having trouble hanging on to the ball, pressured by Havlicek as we go to Dave Dow.
Okay, is it swelling? Okay, here on the West bench, Charlie Scott has just told me his ankle is questionable. He may not be able to go back in. Jerry West is right in front of me now. Jerry, what's the situation as far as your health? You were late getting in because of some injury problems.
Well, I had some sore ankles, but I'm okay, and I assume I'll play some in the last quarter.
You think maybe Sharman is being overly kind to the other players and not playing his own guys too much?
Well, maybe, I don't know, but they're doing quite well now, and he should play the guys that are hot, and these guys are hot right now.
Okay, Jerry West and Charlie Scott. That's the situation from the West bench.
On an assist from Havlicek, DeBuscher made the field goal for the East. Now DeBuscher gets the rebound. They lead 59-57. 5:55 to go, third quarter. Dave Cowens outside, way over to Havlicek. Back to Cowens. And the redhead pumps one in. 61-57.
Well, that's the way those left-handed big guys are.
Here's Dave Bing. Nate Thurman. Cowens knocks it away to Walt Frazier. Frazier to DeBuscher. To Frazier. Havlicek. To Cowens. And DeBuscher.
Now the East team is a smaller team, but they're pounding the board so hard that they're actually controlling the boards. And it's just from hustle, because they know that they have to hustle because the guys from the West can overpower them if they don't.
Now we notice that Connie Hawkins, Charlie Scott, and Bob Lanier.
And this is how you offensive rebound. Just right there, just as it comes off. See, he wasn't screened out, and this you find truly most All-Star games that the guys don't screen out as well as they should.
We'll be back for more third quarter action.
After you folks?
My husband wants to know about your muffler guarantee.
Well, first of all, you get it on every Midas muffler we install, and it says that if anything goes wrong, we put in a new one for only an installation charge.
Even if it just wears out?
Right. The Midas guarantee is good on any car made in America. Good for as long as you own your car.
That long, huh?
Right.
And that's good anywhere.
In the USA, Arthur.
You mean to say that I could buy one here and get it replaced in the...
Brooklyn, Kalamazoo, Biloxi, Topeka?
Right. Well, why don't you roll her on in and I'll fix you right up.
I don't need a new muffler.
Daddy didn't listen to Mommy, no. He went out and got his own muffler, and he didn't get such a good guarantee, and now he's sorry. Yes.
Back again at Chicago Stadium with 5:11 to go in the third quarter. The East continues to lead 63-57. And Bill, very moving thing here, as announcer Ben Bentley gave a synopsis of President Nixon's address, indicating that the peace agreement would be signed January 27th, with prisoner of war returning in 60 days. A standing ovation for a most significant moment.
Right, that's the best news we could all possibly hear, is that this long, horrible war is finally over. And
all right. You just joined us. The East and West were tied after the first quarter, 27-all. It was 50-45 at halftime. The East in the lead. The East now leads by 6, and we have a few substitutions. For the West, number 41, Connie Hawkins, along with Lanier, 16, 42, Nate Thurman, Spencer Haywood, 23, and Bob Love, 9. While for the East, John Havlicek, 17, White, 12, Cowens, 18, DeBuscher, 22, Elvin Hayes, 11. Spencer Haywood with 7 points and 6 rebounds. He, of course, plays for Seattle. Oh, we want Nate. The fans here, a record crowd, 19,005, want Nate the Skate Archibald back in the lineup as Cowan hits for the East. They lead 65-59.
And Dave Cowens is having himself quite a game. He says, who's guarding me?
Rebound comes off to Connie Hawkins of the Phoenix Suns. Gets it off to Charlie Scott. We're glad to see him back in action after an injury to his ankle. Gail Goodrich, rebound. Dave DeBuscher. DeBuscher to White. JoJo to Frazier. To Dave Cowens, who has also 10 rebounds. Spencer Haywood gets the rebound for the West to Charlie Scott, 34. To Connie Hawkins. The other forward is Hayward with Bob Lanier, the center, setting up a pick there, number 16. Goodrich. Look at that little tiger, JoJo White. Blocked the shot quickly to Havlicek. Havlicek to DeBuscher. And Nate the Skate Archibald is off the bench. Will be coming in soon. DeBuscher. This is a much more lighthearted crowd now after hearing the announcement by President Nixon. They're really getting with it here now, and Archibald helped reignite them. Chet Walker's coming in as Bob Lanier. And a very soft hook shot for the West. 67-61, 8 points for Lanier. Now it's Dave DeBuscher outside. Havlicek. Lanier on the rebound. Intended for Goodrich, taken by Connie Hawkins. Pass to Scott. To Lanier. And the East again pounding the boards with Havlicek getting it to DeBuscher. Frazier tried to get it off to White, but was fouled by Gail Goodrich. And now Archibald, number 10, 6 feet 1. Lenny Wilkins, number 19. And Chet Walker.
In for Hayward, Walker.
He leads the league in assists. He leads the NBA in scoring. What a performer. Getting a rest now. We have Goodrich along with Spencer Haywood. Here's Dave DeBuscher to Dave Cowan. Havlicek. Beauty. 69-61. Havlicek 6 points. Here's Nate the skate. The West fans,
I'll tell you one thing. They're pulling for him, but he's got one of the toughest guys in basketball guard named Lenny Wilkins.
Walt Frazier intercepting the pass. Lenny Wilkins trying to get it off to Havlicek. To Busher. Controls it. Havlicek. Penetrates. Drive for the basket. 10-point lead again for the East. 71-61. 8 points for Havlicek. Here's Nate Archibald. Guarded by Lenny Wilkins, number 19. Chet Walker of the Bulls. Lanier to Charlie Scott. Trying to get it back to Lanier, but quick hands, Walt Frazier. One motion to Wilkins. To Havlicek. 73-61.
I think the West better call timeout and regroup.
He's got a timeout.
6 points in a row made by John Havlicek for a total of 10. We'll be back in a minute.
8 times national champion Big Daddy Don Garlitz, working up to 240 miles an hour in his Dodge Dragster. So while 22 million people have switched to Champion spark plugs, Big Daddy never has. He's always run Champions. Even in his workhorse Dodge, the truck, hauling 65,000 miles a year to racetracks all over America. From dragsters to whatever you drive, Champion. Better plugs for everyone.
America wakes up with Skin Bracer, no matter what the obstacles.
Thanks, I needed that.
Skin Bracer is the morning aftershave. Its skin tightener and chin chillers wake you up like a cold slap in the face, even if it's your first shave.
Thanks, I needed that.
As we look at Pete Maravich, this reminder on a big Saturday coming up on ABC television as ABC Sports presents first the $50,000 Denver Open. The greatest bowlers in the world meeting again in the 4th stop on the 13-week tour, to be followed by this special on ABC's Wide World of Sports. The World Heavyweight Championship fight between George Foreman and Joe Frazier. That's on Wide World of Sports along with international skiing. And then the 3rd round live color coverage from awesome Pebble Beach of the Bing Crosby Pro-Am. All that on Saturday, ABC. Connie Hawkins' shot was rebounded by Bob Lanier. All right. We'll reset the lineups at our first opportunity as Pete Maravich has come into the lineup, giving Walt Frazier a rest. So he's at the guard position with Lenny Wilkins. DeBuscher and Havlicek are the forwards. And Elvin Hayes is the center. While for the West, it's Archibald, number 10. There's Hayes, along with Walker, 25, 34, Scott. Connie Hawkins, 41. And Lanier, 16, as Hayes, the Big E. Basket counts, and Lanier fouls him. Let's go to Dave Dial.
Okay, on the bench with me, a young man whose career I followed since high school, Spencer Haywood. You gave your team a big lift in there. I know the All-Star Game's a particular thrill for you, Spencer.
Yeah, it's a great thrill. It's probably the biggest thrill of the year for a team that's in, second to last place. So this is it for some of the younger players such as myself and Wicks.
Okay, Spencer Haywood, one of the young stars of the NBA.
All right. Elvin Hayes just made his 6th point at the foul line, the man that led the league in scoring in his rookie year, and he's been an all-star for all 5 years in the NBA. As the West has the ball, Chet Walker, number 25, to Charlie Scott, 34. Connie Hawkins of the West, guarded by Havlicek. And right over Elvin Hayes' arm. 76-65, Maravich. Look at that big man move. Hayes, under the basket to Lenny Wilkins. Hayes was there to save it to DeBuscher. And Bob Lanier goes to the basket. To Scott, to Archibald, to Scott. DeBuscher again rebounding, long to Havlicek. Havlicek, who once tried out with the Cleveland Browns, shows why he might have been a great pass catcher. Walker, Archibald, to Connie Hawkins, knocked away by Hayes. The best basketball players in the world are at it. Great.
I'm enjoying it so much, I'm going to be quiet for a little while.
Oh, come on, Bill.
I love it.
It's just terrific. Nate Archibald.
This is a great pass. Split vision. He knows the guy's there, and you draw him in. That's what you got to do when you penetrate. Penetrate, and it's great defensive play by Elvin Hayes. Great defensive play.
All right, play resumed now. Nate Archibald over Lenny Wilkins. To Busher with another rebound. Quickly to Hayes. And time has just run out in the third quarter. All right, that's the end of the third period. We'll be back for the fourth quarter in just 1 minute. The score, 76-55, the East in the lead. After a word now from our local stations for action.
One of these is the inside of a Mercedes-Benz. The other, a compact Ford Maverick. Let's see if you can tell which is which. Let's start with these individual reclining seats. Very luxurious. Do they belong in the Maverick? Or do these? This one has thick carpeting. But so does this one. Which is the Maverick? Deep padded doors and European-type armrests here and here. Let's check the tires. Steel-belted radial ply tires here. Belted radial ply tires here.
The costly Mercedes or the compact Ford Maverick? Ready? The Mercedes-Benz 220. Over $6,500. And now, Ford Maverick with the luxury decor option. Everything here, including the steel-belted radials and a V8 engine, $2,890.
Sticker prices exclude destination charges, title, and taxes. Maverick price also excludes dealer prep.
This is ABC.
Both coaches, Sharman on the left and Heinsohn on the right, have used all their players, but now we come to the fourth and final quarter. Bill Russell, what will they do?
Now they'll try to win. Now they'll try the combinations that they've seen working tonight, or the guys that they can win with. Now they get down to what you call serious basketball. Now they've been playing and sort of just getting down to the last, playing till they get to the last quarter, and now they're going to try the combinations that have worked and try to get the players in that they have confidence in. So the last quarter should be very interesting. It's still going to be a ball game. Although the East is up by 11 points, it can develop into a real tough ball game now.
All right, here's the starting lineup for the fourth quarter. For the West, Nate Archibald, number 10. Jerry West, number 44. Number 22, Sidney Wicks. Chet Walker, 25. And Bob Lanier, 16. Pete Maravich for the East, 45. 11, Elvin Hayes. Jack Marin, 24. 44, Bob Kaufman. Lenny Wilkins.
You notice you won't see many layups in this game because they got the great defensive centers and all of them are playing good. So you're getting a lot of great rebound, a lot of defensive play.
Long pass that goes to Elvin Hayes. Jack Marin tries to rebound. Marin now, the Houston Rockets battle, still good.
And the East is pounding the boards like there's no tomorrow.
This matches the largest lead of this game, 78-65. Next Sunday on ABC in our NBA game, it'll be the New York Knickerbockers traveling to Boston Garden in an Atlantic Division battle with the Boston Celtics. The Sidney Wicks shot is tapped away by Lanier, but taken by Jerry West to Archibald to Walker. Elvin Hayes off for the rebound to Lenny Wilkins. Wilkins to Maravich. Oh!
He did the right thing then. He thought about passing, but he did the right thing.
The biggest lead for the East, 15 points. Here's Nate Archibald, number 10. Over here to 44, Jerry West. Back to Archibald. Archibald over Bob Kaufman. Basket counts, and Kaufman, not intentionally, ran right into it.
He's the guy, wow, behind your back. You know, you can tell he's played for Bob Cousy. That's the kind of stuff Cousy can do all the time.
Right. Bob Cousy was in 13 All-Star games, and here's a man that's matching that record, Wilt Chamberlain, number 13, and like Jerry West, his 13th All-Star game, and both of them have won the Most Valuable Player award in previous years, and Jerry winning it last year, and Lenny Wilkins, who's on the court, won it 2 years ago. He's, of course, playing for the East now. At the line to make it a three-point play is Nate Archibald. Leads the NBA in points scored in one game. Leads the league in scoring and in assists. Okay. All right. Here's Pete Maravich. Equally as exciting. Losing it, though. To Sidney Wicks. Archibald to Jerry West. Goal, Timbers. West gets credit for the field goal. Assist from Archibald. West getting it. Archibald now with 13 points, 4 assists. Lenny Wilkins trying to get around Archibald. And Nate puts that hand up. That he'd fouled. He looks like a junior high school player when you...
He looks very young, yes.
But isn't it unbelievable? He's out there with all those giants like you.
They're bigger than I am.
Maravich. Beautiful. 82-72. 9 minutes, 49 seconds. Make it 82-70. Here's Archibald. He takes big steps. And quickly. Around Jack Marin. To Jerry West. Hey!
This is this time of game when he starts to find the range. When you get down to the last few minutes.
Elvin Hayes losing it to Jerry West. West to his Los Angeles Laker teammate Wilt Chamberlain. To Kansas City Omaha star Archibald. To Spencer Haywood of Seattle, who drives on Kaufman, and he charges.
Now this shows that the game is a contact game. Jerry West and Bob Kaufman, just a little contact. See, football is a collision sport. This is contact.
Without pads. Spencer Haywood now with 5 personal fouls. Sidney Wicks of Portland. Long to Jerry West. What a fielding play. Pete Maravich. Oh! Goodness.
And take that, big fella.
Yeah. Man that's overcome mononucleosis, Bell's palsy, and pressure with all that money being signed. He's really improving. Ooh, Jerry West made that charge. That was an offensive foul.
Maravich goes all the way here. Says, well, that's a big guy there. Maybe I'll try him this time.
All right, here's Lenny Wilkins, number 19, guarded by Archibald. 8:26 to go. Kaufman. Elvin Hayes up and in.
Elvin Hayes.
86-72. Wilt Chamberlain inbounds it to West to Archibald. Down in the left corner, we have Spencer Haywood. In the right corner, Sidney Wicks.
Now, the West, if they're going to make a move in this game, they have to make it within the next 2 minutes.
Sidney Wicks and Jack Marin having a head-to-head.
That's a good move.
Oh. Oh. Spencer Haywood, 10 points. 86-74. Wilkins, Jack Marin. Bob Kaufman to Hayes around Chamberlain.
Hayes.
88-74. Jerry West to Archibald. Elvin Hayes, Lenny Wilkins to Bob Kaufman of the Buffalo Braves. To Atlanta's Pete Maravich at the baseline. To Hayes. Archibald. Foul. Maravich blocking. Here it is again.
Little contact here, backcourt.
4 fouls on Pete Maravich, and the backcourt foul has Archibald at the line with 7:16 to go in the game. East leads in the series 14 games to 8. The West has won the last 2. Here's Archibald with 13 points, 5 assists, and all 19,500 enjoying him. We hope you are too. Don't forget, the World Heavyweight Championship fight on ABC's Wide World of Sports this Saturday. George Foreman. What a job he did in Kingston, Jamaica last night on Joe Frazier. You'll see it Saturday on Wide World of Sports.
It was more of a mismatch than everybody thought it was going to be, that fight. They thought it was going to be a mismatch, but the other way.
Top scorers now. Dave Cowens in the East with 15. For the West, Archibald with 15 points. So the battle for the MVP goes on as Maravich gets into the act. Right now it's 90-76. Maravich with 8 points. That's in this half, so he's coming on strong. Archibald. Jack Marin. That left-handed dribble. And shot. Wilkins on the rebound. Pretty hook shot from the court side.
They're getting a little loose. I think they're pretty confident now. They're coming down and taking the shots very relaxed. Shots that would look like tough shots that they can make.
Hayes gets the rebound for the East and to Maravich. Maravich to Wilkins. Lou Hudson waits to come in to the East All-Star lineup. Hayes. Baltimore's Hayes gets it again. Still no bucket. Sidney Wicks of Portland to Jerry West of the Los Angeles Lakers to Archibald.
Great pass. That's the only pass you can get through there. Is on that type of break, that's the only pass you could use. And a lot of players don't like to use that pass because it's a tough pass to make.
Archibald with 17 points. Here's Maravich guarded by Jerry West, number 44. Maravich to Lenny Wilkins, guarded by Archibald. West has the ball. West to Sidney Wicks. Elvin Hayes, another rebound. To Maravich. Maravich looking up court. Is to Dave DeBuscher.
I told Dave, you can't make that shot.
Boy, if he gets hot, look out. 94-78 with 5:23 left in the game. All from the Chicago Stadium. Pete Archibald. So that is Coach Bill Sharman. One at a time, we look at Tom Highsall. Let's see that pass. Jerry West to Archibald.
To say hello and acknowledge the presence of ABC's Chris Schenkel, Bill Russell, and Dave.
All right, 94-78, 5:19 to go. We'll be back in a minute.
All the time people ask me, why don't you guys change your name? Goodrich, Goodyear, pretty confusing. And Goodyear's done more advertising. Look, I say, for 5 years nationally, we've advertised nothing but radial tires. We introduced the first one made in America. Now, you'll probably see Goodyear featuring a steel radial, too. You get confused? Look up in the sky. You see an enormous blimp up there with somebody's name on it? We're the other guys.
If you want Goodrich, you'll just have to remember Goodrich.
Which set has the clearest color?
Mine! Mine!
The simplest tuning?
Mine!
The best solid-state design?
Mine!
Who knows? Claims are confusing. But one fact is clear. When it comes to solid-state color TV, almost twice as many people own RCA as any other brand. Almost twice as many. Like this RCA XL 100. It's America's favorite. Come see why.
There you see the team rebounds, 50 for the East, a total of 16, and the West only 34, Bill Russell.
Well, that's what Tommy Heinz said he wanted to do. He wanted to pound the boards and run, and they've done that pretty well. Dave Cowens and Elvin Hayes particularly, those two guys have just played outstanding, and David Bush has been playing real well. But I think that the two guys, as you could say, that have really been outstanding are Dave Cowens and Elvin Hayes.
Right, Dave Cowens back in the lineup, guarding Chamberlain. And also in the lineup, replacing Maravich, is Walt Frazier, number 10, in the red East uniform. Cowens now coming back to help as the West puts on a press. Lenny Wilkins guarded by Archibald, and Archibald fouls it. 27 West turnovers and 21 for the East. Well, let's see what that call was. Will Chamberlain trying to backhand one as Cowens comes off with the rebound. Cowens having a great night. He has 11 rebounds as the East leads 94-78. 4:50 to go. Lou Hudson of the East and Atlanta. That last foul was an offensive foul on Len Wilkins. Cowens. Archibald on the rebound. Go, little guy. Sidney Wicks. Sidney Wicks last touching it. So the East takes it. Cowens goes back along the lane, guarded by Chamberlain. Wilkins to the right, guarded by Archibald. There's Cowens, number 18. To Lou Hudson, 23. The first 8 players of the 14-man roster are chosen by the media, sports writers and announcers in the NBA, and the rest, the remaining 6 on each team, chosen by the coaches of the NBA. The winning players get $500, the losers $300, and Commissioner Walter Kennedy gives all 28 a Lindy Star Sapphire ring. And we're 4 minutes and 11 seconds away on the clock from the end of the 23rd All-Star game. And we look at Len Wilkins and Walt Frazier as Bob Dandridge and Dave Bing get ready to come in for the West. Lou Hudson around Sidney Wicks. Chamberlain on the rebound to Jerry West. West, a lead pass to Haywood. Wicks trying to rebound. Jerry West gets it to Archibald. Spencer Haywood. Ooh, what a move. At the end of tonight's game, the exciting NBA one-on-one event continues. An exciting one with Jim Barnett versus Elvin Hayes. So stick around as Wicks and Cowens collide under the basket. We have Dave Bing, 21, coming in, replacing Jerry West. So going to the line will be Wicks. There's Bing of the Detroit Pistons, who's come back from a detached retina. Havlicek coming in for the East, 17 and 11, Bob Dandridge, replacing Spencer Haywood. Dave Dials is here.
Okay, with me, Elvin Hayes, surely a candidate for most valuable player. How do you guys get yourself up for this? A lot of critics say it's just another game and you take it easy.
Well, I think it's a game that every player looks forward to, and I think that it's a game you want to win. And anytime you play any kind of game dealing with basketball, it's a competitive game, and you want to come out and play as hard as you possibly can. Maybe some of the guys feel that way, but once they hit that floor, they might say if once they hit that floor, they're going to go out and put everything they have into it to try to get this win, because it means a lot. It shows that the East have power, that it isn't weakening like a lot of people say. The East is weakening now, and the West is being strong since the Lakers won the championship last year. But I think it's a game that every player put all they have into it to try to get it.
Okay, Elvin Hayes and all of you fans across the country will be interested in seeing Elvin in the one-on-one contest immediately following the NBA All-Star game.
All right, Sidney Wicks made both foul shots, and then Walt Frazier came back with a field goal for 10 points. Wicks has 13 as Archibald. A long cross-court pass intended for either Wicks or Dandridge. East takes over. Walt Frazier, 3 minutes left, 96-82. The East on top. They haven't won the last 2 years. 29th West turnover as Dave DeBuscher of the Knicks. Number 22 gives to Havlicek of Boston. New York's Walt Frazier guarded by Milwaukee's Bob Dandridge, number 11. Cowens knocks it away, taken by JoJo White. Chamberlain takes it off. So a man a lot shorter. Nate Archibald to Dave Bing. Cowens. Let's pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves. Thank you, gentlemen. Chamberlain rebounds the DeBuscher shot with 2:09 to go. 96-82. Archibald directing traffic, telling those big forwards where to go, and Chamberlain where to go. Over Chamberlain, but White comes out to guard him. Wilt gets it. Off somebody's basketball shoe. Minute 47 left in the ball game with the East in the lead by a score of 96 to 82. We'll be back with the remainder of the game, plus a one-on-one event soon.
Number 37, Bill May.
Almost anywhere you travel on business, you'll find a Holiday Inn close by. And in every major city, you have a choice of 2 or more. Chances are we can get you closer to your business. And that's important when people are depending on you.
Referee for today's game is Charlie O'Neill.
We can get you closer to your business. Holiday Inn, the most accommodating people in the world.
That poor guy just paid me $200 for a ring job. $200. This is a Fram oil filter, about $4. If he paid me $4 when he had his oil changed, chances are he wouldn't be paying me $200 now. But the choice is yours. You can pay me now or pay me later.
Dave Dials, Bill Russell, and Chris Schenkel here at Chicago Stadium. Minute 47 to go, and we have a lot coming up following this game. Dave Dials will be on hand to interview the most valuable player. Also, Jim Barnett and Elvin Hayes in an NBA one-on-one championship event. What a battle it was. You'll enjoy it. 96-82, the East is enjoying the lead. Well, Bill, you always love to be put on the spot. The minute 47 to go. What player should win the MVP award, which you won in '63?
Oh, Dave Cowens has got to go away.
Dave Downs?
Dave what? Dave Cowens has got to get it. Although I think that the runner-up and a close runner would be Elvin Hayes, because he's had just an outstanding, especially second half.
All right, and in the lineup now, we do have Cowens, number 18, down to our right. Walt Frazier, number 10, 12, White, Havlicek, 17, DeBusschere, 22. Off to the west, it's Archibald, 10, guarding White. There's Sidney Wicks guarding DeBusschere. Havlicek nearly alone. Oh, 98 to 82. So for the West, in the final minute and 16 seconds, Dave Bing, 21. Into Bob Dandridge, number 11 of Milwaukee. Beautiful. 98-84. Walt Frazier. Don't forget on Saturday, the World Heavyweight Championship fight, ABC's Wide World of Sports, 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central, 5:30 Pacific time. Plus Professional Bowlers Tour and the third round of the Bing Crosby Pro-Am from Pebble Beach. Sidney Wicks, guarded by Dave DeBusschere. Rebound off to JoJo White. White driving on Dandridge to Havlicek. Good. 102 to 84 with 35 seconds left on the clock. Havlicek has 14 points now. Archibald giving to Sidney Wicks. Chamberlain on the rebound, knocked away by Havlicek, taken by Dave Cowens, his Celtic teammate. All right, here's JoJo White. White in his third All-Star game, fourth year in the league, over Chamberlain. 104 to 84. Largest lead of the game with 1 second to go. The East has won in 1973, 104 to 84.
Friday night, the Baltimore Bullets and Chicago Bulls, thank you so much for being with us.
The East led since the